You don't think of Donald Trump and say, that was really nuanced in what he had to say about this position or his policy. You don't hear him talk in depth about policies at all. And have some work-life balance. And I don't think, he's never been in that situation. Not all those people started like Donald Trump with a silver spoon, right? These are people putting their life on the line.
Trump's latest meltdown? It's all thanks to Mark Cuban spilling some serious tea. And let me tell you, it's hotter than Trump's fake tan. Cuban's gone from Trump's supporter to Trump's worst nightmare. He's calling out everything from Trump University scams to economic policies that are about as smart as a chocolate teapot.
The job of presidency was investing in real estate, picking curtains and fixtures. He'd probably be the most qualified, but it's not. He's not a business person.
Trump's not happy, folks. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember the time when Mark Cuban was completely obsessed with Donald Trump? It is true that those days did exist. Cuban was of the opinion that Trump would be the political equivalent of a successful pitch on Shark Tank. In the stifling world of politics, he believed that the Donald was a welcome change, ready to shake things up like a bartender making a new cocktail. He was ready to shake things up. Nevertheless, Cuban made the decision to investigate Trump's business history, and wow, what a mess he found out about Trump's business dealings. If you were to open a dumpster on a hot summer day, it would have been a very unpleasant experience.
Get all that right. So here's kind of the angle I was looking at tariffs. I've known Donald Trump 25 years. He used to be okay on trade policy, but over the last 25 years, he's just lost it.
Cuban's fixation on Trump's portrayal of himself as an outsider crumbled down like a sandcastle when the tide was high. Upon closer inspection, he found that Trump University and Trump Soho were not exactly five-star hotels or schools in the style of Harvard. Let's just say that they were not exactly luxury hotels. After further investigation, it was discovered that a degree from Trump University was about as legitimate as a degree from Hogwarts. The only thing that Trump received from the students was a picture of him holding an empty wallet and a cardboard cutout, despite the fact that he had promised them the keys to his success in real estate. However, what about Trump Soho? An upscale hotel and condominium development in New York was the initial plan for the project. You should be aware that things did not go according to plan. The entire region was more shaded than a palm tree that was located on the beach. As a matter of fact, individuals were not exactly waiting in queue to purchase condominiums that included the possibility of fraud investigations. Cuban started to believe that Trump's image of himself as an outsider was just as genuine as the color of his hair did. What a letdown it was to be served a dinner prepared in the microwave when you had anticipated you would be served a meal worthy of 5 stars. Cuban came to the conclusion that Trump's business acumen was as solid as a chocolate teapot after conducting a more in-depth investigation.
And have some work-life balance. And I don't think, he's never been in that situation. Not all those people started like Donald Trump with a silver spoon, right? These are people putting their life on the line.
A further point that should not be overlooked is the well-known book Art of the Deal, written by Donald Trump. Instead of receiving some business advice, Cuban was given a fantasy book that would have made J.K. Rowling green with envy. Cuban most likely anticipated receiving some business advice. It was the only transaction in which Trump appeared to excel, and that was the one in which he convinced people that he was a successful businessman. Trump is proposing to levy a tax of 60% on products that are manufactured in China. It seems to be a challenging task, doesn't it?
If Donald Trump is elected and he puts these 60% tariffs on Chinese products, they are all going up. All those things you buy.
Mark Cuban, on the other hand, is not buying it. This is so extreme that he is even calling it economic suicide. How awful. After losing the popular vote, Trump's ego must be hurt for a more significant reason than that. Cuban is not simply someone who makes fun of other people. The possibility that these tariffs will have a more severe impact on small businesses than a sumo wrestler on a sugar rush is something that he is concerned about.
Good question. You all know anybody who doesn't know how tariffs work? All right, I'll give you a hint. That other guy.
Imagine having the experience of finding out that the prices at your preferred store have increased by 60%. These days, the price of your favorite pair of sneakers is comparable to that of a high-end meal. With each passing moment, the phrase, "Make America Great Again," is starting to sound a lot like the phrase, "Make Americans Broke Again."
You don't think of Donald Trump and say, that was really nuanced in what he had to say about this position or his policy. You don't hear him talk in depth about policies at all.
There is, however, more to come. The number of economists who are supporting Cuban is higher than the number of fact-checkers who are supporting Trump. The implications of these tariffs, according to them, could be more disruptive to supply chains than a child playing with Legos in a store. And we are all well aware of how excruciatingly painful that can be. Cuban is not one to sugarcoat things. It is his warning that these tariffs are, in essence, a sales tax that Trump is imposing on everyday goods. It would appear that President Trump is making an effort to give all of us the impression that we are staying at one of his extravagant hotels for more than just a leisurely weekend. Wow, what a steal there is! The star of Shark Tank is particularly concerned about the potential effects that these tariffs could have on small businesses. It is his contention that in the aftermath of a late-night tweet storm, their expenditures would increase at a rate that is faster than Trump's Twitter following increases.
Trump's plan is tariffs, which,
Don't work.
he likens to, or Harris likens to, a Trump sales tax.
Who is the one who pays for it? Do you know? It is true that we, the customers, are correct. It would appear that we are all competitors on The Apprentice. But rather than being fired, we are receiving a decrease in our financial standing. To put it another way, Cuban is not merely speaking from the hip, so to speak. At a rally for Donald Trump, economists are acting like bobbleheads and nodding their heads. They assert that these tariffs have the potential to cause inflation and drive up prices to levels that are higher than Trump's hair on a day when there is a lot of wind. For a moment, you might find yourself wondering if President Trump's economic strategy was written down on the back of a napkin at Mar-a-Lago. Considering all of this criticism, what is Donald's response to it all? Naturally, after Trump's usual manner of speech, these are the terms that he uses: loser and weak and pathetic bully. Here we have a situation in which the pot is calling the kettle pink.
Trump just crushed it. And it's not just crushing people's Christmases. Those small companies that support community.
The experience is comparable to being a witness to a fight in a kindergarten playground, but with a greater amount of spray tan and less maturity. People, it would appear that the remarkable transformation that Mark Cuban underwent from being a supporter of Trump to a vehement opponent of the presidency is more than just a story about a billionaire. When powerful individuals such as Cuban begin to disparage Trump, it has the potential to cause significant damage to the political momentum that Trump is currently enjoying. When your hip and wealthy uncle suddenly calls out your awkward dance moves while you are competing in a family barbecue, people begin to pay attention to what you are doing. A reminder that even powerful people can have second thoughts is provided by Cuban's story, which is the most unfortunate aspect of the situation. When you are approaching the process of erecting a shrine to your preferred politician, it is important to keep in mind that the hero of today could become the orange turd of tomorrow. When it comes to politics, it's like playing whack-a-mole. Do you have any thoughts? Does Cuban have the intention of revealing shocking information, or is he simply displaying regret like any other buyer who is worth $1 billion? Together, let's make an effort to figure out what's going on with this circus, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section.